out almost on its own, because a public library must be in a community. Free books for free people, like free air. It must be for a culture, for a civilization. I want to be part of that. To my surprise, I heard a passion in my voice. Why did you choose to work in the new pastor's public library? She asked, with no passion. And the third of the reference letters now. Because I love this beautiful building, all in white marble, with a dome on top. Oh, it looks like a Roman temple. A temple, this one, for the worship of books. Remembering the large open metal book with the words "Man and His Books" written on it, placed on a rugged rock in the grassy spot in front of the library, I quickly added, "For man and his books," even though I wish the words had been "for man and woman and their books." This was a truthful answer on my part, even though to be near Chris I had applied to a library in Brooklyn. Then I added, I was destined to be with books because of my last name. Delibris means of books, from the Latin word libri, books. Delibris, are you interested in the French and Indian War? And what do you know about it? She finally raised her head and looked straight at me, with eyes that had a film over them, which gave them a dull, opaque look. The French and Indian War? Oh, I'm very interested in the French and Indian War. I almost shouted, because I felt Catherine Van Veld, for some reason, was very, very interested. I wasn't really all that interested. My social studies teacher had barely mentioned it. It was my brother who was obsessed with it besides the Civil War, and he had brought it to my attention, and its importance in American and world history. I loved The Last of the Mohicans, Hawkeye, Chingangook. Oh, I saw all the movies, the silent one, the one with Randolph Scott, and the last one with Daniel Day-Lewis. I stopped. I was out of breath. It was my brother who had made me watch this silent, violent movie. Rested to her eyes that had suddenly been filled with a bright light, I went on. For this woman that seemed not to be in the best of health needed to hear more on the French and Indian War. I began repeating some of the words my brother had said to me. The American frontier, the wilderness, the battles gave us American colonists a taste for freedom. I could have gone on a lot more. But then I was out of breath. Bless you, Camilla Delibris. I've long waited for a librarian like you. You see, my ancestors fought in this war. I don't want them to be forgotten. We in New York State must remember the very important war that changed the course of history. The 250th anniversary is coming up in 2005, and the new Pastor's Public Library is going to have lectures, books, displays, reenactments to commemorate this very important war for America. Are you ready, Camilla, to give a heartfelt participation in the events? I'm relying on your knowledge and creativity. I'm ready, I said. What else could I have said? I felt caught in this whirlwind entitled The French and Indian War. You're hired. Congratulations. Welcome to the staff of the new Pastor's Public Library. Her drawn, ashen face seemed less so now as she pushed a button. Almost immediately, the assistant director, Susan Westerly, and Mary Patterson, an older librarian whom I had also met on my first interview, and who seemed always, like today, unlike Susan, stern, unfriendly. I felt good now, and mentally thanked my brother, now doing a story in Kabul, Afghanistan. Susan, Mary, I told you I'd find a librarian who knew all about the French and Indian War. She said it with a bit of smugness in her voice. She introduced me to Susan and Mary. Susan, and said with a smile, "Welcome to the staff of the New Pastures Public Library." Mary, without a smile, just said, "Welcome." Yes, Vivi, you as director always knew what was best for the New Pastures Public Library. Never lost hope for the library your family founded. I, as the new director, will dedicate myself to keeping the standards and traditions of the Van Veld family. Susan spoke in a solemn tone of voice, looking up at the portraits on the walls as if she had to answer to them. Mary said nothing, but she too looked solemn. I assumed that Vivi meant Van Veld, Catherine Van Veld, who was explaining to me now that Mary was the head of special projects, one of the major ones at hand being at the preparation for all the many activities of the French and Indian War. Since Mary, of course, was doing other projects, one of the major one being the summer reading program for teenagers, perhaps I should be put in charge of the French and Indian War commemorative events. I seem to know so much about it. We should put our heads together, included, hers included. Wow, I was just hired and already put as a project director for a war I had forgotten about. But hey, I was hired. I had a job with books, which gave me benefits, financial independence. I feel good and ready for the challenge.